Assalamu alaikum everyone, welcome back to Clinic Management System. Today is our lecture number 10, and in today's lecture I'm gonna demonstrate how can you create the appointment window for patients that come into your clinic management system. In the previous lecture I have demonstrated how to create the medicine window, and why I have created medicine window I have mentioned. Okay, so let's start what we have today. Alright, so I have opened the software, and if you notice here I have already created a window with the name patient registration window, and inside this window I have done the same that I have done in the previous lectures, that is the inheritance as the first step. So you have to do the inheritance same as we have mentioned, as we have seen in the roles window and in the users window. Okay, so I have inherited the sample 2 class by default here. So all these controls are appearing, the controls that are by default are appearing here, and the controls that you see here are my newly added controls. So why I have mentioned all these controls, let me tell you first. Because we are registering the patient. Let's say the patient is calling you via phone, or he or she is directly coming into the clinic. So the first thing that you check is the phone number, or you ask is the phone number of the customer or the patient. Okay, because based on the phone number you can be easily detect whether the patient is coming for the first time or the patient is a repeated patient. I hope it is clear to everyone. So first thing you ask for the phone number, so that you can verify the patient is a newcomer or a old one. Then after entering the phone number, if the patient exists already, then the patient name and the guardian or the father or the mother should appear here automatically. And if the patient is new, so you have to enter these things by yourself. Okay, that's why I have created these controls. And then you have the appointment date. If the patient is standing in front of you, that means he is today he is coming for checkup. So you don't have to change this. In fact, you just leave it as it is. And then you have this appointment for, that means the patient is coming to get the appointment for which doctor. So you have to select from a list of doctors that are there inside your software. I hope it is clear to everyone. So I will load the doctors here by default. Now if you notice here, that's my date time picker, and inside this date time picker I have created these up and down buttons. So how can I create this up and down button? So let me show you. That's the property, show up down. It is false by default. I have made it true. So with the help of this, in fact of dropping down the whole calendar, I have just mentioned the up and down arrow keys. I hope it is clear to everyone. Simple up and down, you can change the date, month, year, hours, minutes, seconds and all that. Okay, now the patient history. Let's say you are at the reception, and when you have entered the phone number, the last appointment details should display at the bottom. If the patient is a repeated patient, the last appointment details. I hope it is clear to everyone, so that you can verify the patient that are you the one that came in on this for that purpose and to visit that doctor. So you can be able to verify the history. So this is how I have created a simple design for my patient registration window. Okay, now the next thing are the naming conventions. So first of all, the phone text, I have to mention the name here, phone text, because these things are required. Phone text, then patient text I have mentioned, then the father text or guardian text, then the appointment date picker I have mentioned, and then the appointment for drop down is mentioned, and there is the last appointment, consulted to, and then the status. Okay, now what should happen? These controls are disabled by default, so I have made them false, enabled false. I hope it is clear to everyone, and at any cost this should not be enabled. Okay, now, and these controls should also be disabled by default, so I have made them enabled false also. I hope it is clear to everyone. Why I have made them enabled false? So that I can apply the security. So before clicking this add button, you cannot use these controls. So why I have done this? This is the trick. Let's say instead of disabling every control, you just in future when you are applying security, and if you don't want any user to add the record, so you simply disable the add button. So when the person is not able to click on the add button, the respective controls on the left hand side will also be not enabled. I hope it is clear to everyone. Okay, that's why I have done this logic or trick. Now the next thing, but what happened when you click the add button? You know, in the previous whole lectures, when I am clicking the add button, all controls inside the left panel are enabling by default. Okay, So and all the controls are specifying with the validation also. So I don't want this control to be validated, I don't want this control to be validated, and I don't want this control to be validated. So what I will do, I have tell you a logic, that is the allow drop, and I have made these three controls allow drop true. That means these control will not be validated when I press the save button to save the patient details. I hope it is clear to everyone. Now the next thing is, I want to check only these controls. This will happen. Now the next thing is, right, one more thing I must mention here is the date time picker validation. If you go on your main program that belongs to your main class module, so when I go to the main program and when I check my functions, that are these functions, that enable, disable, reset, enable controls, disable controls, check controls. So I don't have any date time picker here. So you have to do this also here. So what the thing you have to check? Okay, go on the last, in the last of this code. Yes, if the control that is coming is a date time picker. Okay, if the control is a date time picker, then what you can do? Date time picker dt equals to new date time picker. No, not new date time picker. In fact, do typecasting date time picker and then C. So you have successfully typecasted your control that is coming in C and stored inside dt. So what you can do, if dt dot allow drop is equals to okay, one thing, that's my reset enable, it's only enabled, so you don't need this condition right now. You just have to enable and reset. So dt dot value is equals to date time dot now, because date time picker will be resetted to today's date and time. Simple. So that's the case. Date time value is now resetted because this is my reset and enabled. So you have to write here what? dt dot enabled equal to true. So when you press the add button, the control will be enabled. That's why I have done this here. Now copy this code and go to reset disable at the end and write here. Simple. In this code you have to just disable and reset. Reset it is there and disable is by false. Okay, so that's my reset disable. Close this. Now enable controls only. So enable controls, the value will not be resetted here. Paste, and the value will not be resetted. In fact, it will be only enabled. I hope it is clear to everyone. And then that's my disable control function, and now you can paste it here. Sorry, copy, and that's my disable function. So I'm making it false. Now it's fine. Now what's next? I have created these functions and these are not using everywhere, so remove these. No problem. The flow layout panel in the beginning of the course of this clinic management system. Now check controls. Here you also specify the drop down, sorry, the date time picker. So if C is a date time picker, okay, so come inside, and what you can do here, again the same code, date time picker dt equals to date time picker and then the C. Okay, and now because it is a checking function, is the control is valid or not. So how can you specify, how can you check that the date is valid or not? So you can, what you can do, you cannot go backward. If the date is less than the today's date, it should give you the error. I hope it is clear to everyone. You cannot go previous, you can go further or in future. So what you can do, if first of all the thing is, if dt dot allow drop, if dt dot allow drop is equals to true, okay, if it is allowed drop, then do not validate, else come inside and now check if dt dot value is less than date time dot today. Okay, if the value of the dt is less than today's date, then what you can do, you can change the color and you can add it to the controls here. So copy this and paste it here. ARR is my array list, and in this list I am adding my data or date time picker. And what else you can do? Here you can remove this code and let me select this whole code. Simple. Copy it and here you can paste. And now what it is saying, remove this code and cut this whole code and paste at this point. Now what is happening, if the value is less than today, then what you can do, you can add it inside your controls. So how can you add? You can add it like this, copy and paste. You are adding your dt, the date time picker, inside where? Inside your array list. And if the date is not less than today's date, then what you can do, you can remove that dt from your array list. I hope it is clear to everyone. And then after this you can change the color. So dt dot back color is equals to, if dt dot value is less than date time dot today, if the value of the date time picker that you have mentioned is less than today, then the color of date picker should become fire brick, else it should become white. I hope it is clear to everyone. So that was the validation for my date time picker throughout my software. That's it. So now let's go to the let's rebuild this. Right click and rebuild, because rebuild is necessary so that the code is updated everywhere where you have referenced this main class. Now it's fine. And now if I call this check controls method here, it will validate my date time picker. Now let's go to the database quickly and let's have a look what I have inside the database. So CMS, tables, and look, I have created two tables, the patient registration, and these are the columns, patient ID, registration ID, that is big integer, and that is identity column also, and primary key also, and then the name of the patient, then the guardian name, and then the phone number. Simple. These are the related things that I have stored inside one table. And then the appointment details. So when you are appointing a patient, so the patient appointment ID, and then the date of the appointment, and then the appointment number or the turn number. Okay, when the patient will come or go to the doctor, the turn number. I hope it is clear to everyone. The turn number, and then the doctor ID. I will pick up the doctor ID to whom the patient is going to consult, and then the patient ID, and then the status of the what you can say appointment. Let's say the first time the patient come, the status becomes 0 for, let's say, not checked, and when it is consulted to the doctor, then the status becomes 1, that is checked. And then when the dispenser or the compounder give the medicine to the respective or the concerned patient, and then the status will become 2, that the checkup is completed. So that's why I have mentioned this status column here. So now let us create the stored procedures to insert data in it. So do we have the stored procedures? Let us verify. There are other columns, there are other tables I should have to create. That is, the patient has some symptoms, patient has some diseases, and the doctor has recommended some treatment. So we'll also have to do that also, but that work is done on the appointment window, the checkup window for the doctor, the screen that the doctor will use. So I don't have any procedure for these two tables. So let us create the insert, update, delete, and select procedures. Okay, so I am writing here and then I'll be right back. Alright guys, so welcome back. I have entered the stored procedures. I have created the queries for my insert patient registration table. So that's my patient registration table. Look at this and look at this. So name, guardian, phone number and age, that is missing. I have added one more column here, that is age of the patient, so you have to mention the age also. Okay, so redesign your or alter your table with respect to this age column, and that is of float data type. Let's say 3.5 is the age. Okay, now it's fine. So that's my insert stored procedure. And for updating my patient registration, I have created an update stored procedure. I hope you understand this procedure, how I have mentioned and what columns I'm going to update with respect to the patient registration ID, and then deletion of the patient is also there. Now one thing that I have done is the check patient registration exists, because in the graphical user interface, as you enter the phone number, the patient exists or not. If the patient exists already, then the details should appear here and here also. So that's why I have created a whole query for this. Let me show you. Because I have created two separate tables, patient appointment and patient registration, so I have to pick up the data from both the tables. Okay, so that's why I have created this particular stored procedure, and here I have applied a join along with patient registration and patient appointment, and also with the user, so that I can pick up the doctor name and the doctor ID. Okay, so with the help of this join with patient registration and patient appointment, with the common columns we have inside our both tables, that is patient ID here and patient ID here, this is primary key, this is foreign key in both the tables. Now, so what I have done, I have mentioned the name of the patient, the guardian and the last appointment date and the doctor name to which the appointment was taken, and then the doctor ID, and then this is one single column query. This is the one query, this is the one line. Okay, I have mentioned in separate lines. So I have applied a switch case that if the status is 0, then not consulted should be displayed. If the status is 1, then consulted should be displayed, and if the status is equals to 2, then that means the appointment or the consultancy is completed. So that's why I have mentioned this cases. Now I have executed this also, and when this happen, when you enter the phone number. So based on the phone number, two things will happen. If the patient exists, then data will appear. If it does not exist, then there is no data. I hope it is clear to everyone. Now moving forward, I have created the insert procedure for the appointment table also, but here the interesting thing is the turn number. That's my insert stored procedure for the appointments table. Look here, that's the table. Here date will be fine, but the turn number, who will get which turn number, the first in first serve, that's the case, the FIFO terminology. So how can you implement that? The first thing that I have done here, I have created a variable with the name turn number with the data type tiny integer, and inside this variable I have picked up the value. First look at this query, select top one, ignore everything, just what I am saying, listen. Select top one, what? Turn number from where? Patient appointment table. Okay, the top one, the last, where the date is this, let's say today's date. Okay, on this date, what is the last appointment number? The last appointment number will be picked up with the help of this order by clause. So the last appointment with respect to the date and time, descending order, we have picked up and then stored inside this. But what will happen, let's say if you don't have any appointment, if you don't have any turn number, that means the result will come 0 or null. So for that purpose I have checked whether it is null or not. If it is null, so I have stored this whole query. Let me zoom it out. I have stored this whole query inside this is null method. This will check if the data is there or not. If the data is not there, then store 0 or display 0 by default. I hope it is clear to you. And if it is null, then 0, and if it is not null, then whatever will be the value, then it will be picked up. And then because you are adding a new turn number every time, so I have added 1 in this turn number. So if there is no turn number, then it will become 0 and then it will become +1. So the first turn number, and then if the first turn number is stored there in the table, and when you reiterate this insert query again, so what will happen? The 1 will be picked up and then the 1 will be added, so the turn number will become 2. So every time it will automatically occur with respect to the date. I hope it is clear to everyone. Okay, so you have to change this from this because you have to pass date on runtime. Okay, so after taking the turn number, after picking up the turn number, I have inserted that turn number here. Simple, the insert procedure. Okay, let me alter it because I have executed these queries with I have entered the hard coded date, so that was my mistake. Now let's just execute first again. So now it's completed. So that's the case for update appointment. So update appointment, I am updating only these things. I'm not going to update the turn number. Okay, so turn number is there, and then you have the delete appointment procedure also. Now next things that we have to do, we have to insert, we have to do the validations, and then we have to do the insert in these two tables together. Okay, so the first thing that you have to do is to load all the doctors on this window. Okay, and then you need all the you need to display the records if you have the record exist. So on load you need to load the doctors. So for that purpose, do we have any procedure? Get roles with get users with respect to role. Yes, we have get users with respect to role, but I need only the doctors. So for that purpose, I have to create another procedure. Get users with respect to role. Let us see. In this stored procedure, I have loaded all the users with respect to the role. Okay, so I need only doctors right now. So what I have to do, I have to specify the doctors procedure, or I have to mention the doctors only. So how can you specify that? So guys, what I can do, I can copy it. Okay, and I'm going to new query, I'm pasting it, create procedure, get doctors only. So because I am very specific this time, so I am writing here get doctors and create procedure, and instead of this, remove this parameter and simply select, remove these all also, these things you don't need. Instead you need the ID of the doctor and the name of the doctor. So you have to specify u dot name as doctor, simple, and then remove this. So ID and the name will be picked up with respect to the role name, that will be doctors. So role name is equals to doctor, or you can specify the small case also. So whatever will be the spelling, caps and small and all that, so it doesn't matter in SQL basically. So you don't need to write this also, it will pick up the doctors. Okay, now get doctors. So what will happen, let us check. I don't have any doctor. Do I have any doctor here? So let us go to the software and let's add a doctor inside our clinic management system. So let's start. Right, so login, staff, add, and here I have to add a doctor, let's say Yasir, or you can specify Dr. Yasir, and then the name, username is Yasir, password is 12345, and then phone number is 1234567, address is ABCD, and then the role is a doctor. Okay, and then save. Dr. Yasir added successfully, and now log out and close it and go to your query and execute. Look, the data is coming, so all the doctors will be picked up based on this doctor role. So this query is fine, and then execute. Commands completed successfully. And now what you have to do, you have to go to your code and double click here and write here main class dot load. Sorry, you have the CRUD one, right? CRUD. So you have to add the CRUD operation. So using CRUD, and then you have to load it. CRUD dot load list. Okay, because you are going to load the list. I have created this method already. The procedure name. So the procedure name is get doctors, and you have to paste inside double quotes. And then what it is asking, the combo box. So where should I display the list of the doctors? Here. So appointment for drop down. So you have to mention here appointment for drop down, and then what it is asking you, the display member and the value member. So what I wanted to display, let us go to the ID procedure and ID and the doctor. So to display, I need to write here doctor, that's the column name, and for value member, sorry, that's my display member, and first I have to pass my value member, that is the ID column. So now that's fine. Okay, so when you load your patient registration window, all the doctors should be loaded by default here. I hope it is clear to everyone. And now because you have to show the patient history by default, so you need to load the doctors here also. Consulted to by default, so consulted to text. So on load, you use this method again to load here consulted to. I hope it is clear to everyone, but the problem is this is a text box. That means that you need to you don't need to call this remove, no problem, we will see something later. Okay, is this window appearing on the home screen? Patients, no, the code is not there, so copy it and paste it and write here patient registration window and select this window and paste it here. Now it's fine, and now let's start the software and verify whether the data is appearing or not. So login, patients, and add controls are enabling, but I don't want these controls to enable, so I have to disable it separately. Okay, so first thing that I wanted to check is the thing, that is Dr. Yasir is appearing. So the data is there, doctors are appearing. Now what you have to do, you have to check when I enter the phone number, the data should be loaded or it should not be loaded. Okay, so based on the phone number, what I can do, I can go here and go to the patient registration and go to this phone and go to its event, and which event should I use? I used to pick up the focus leave. Okay, so when I am going to leave the focus, it will show me the data exists or not. So focus leave, come inside, raise this event. So if phone leave phone text dot text is equals to blank, that means if you are leaving it blank, then nothing should happen. And if you write here not equal to blank, then that means the phone number is not blank. Okay, so if it is not empty, then what you have to mention, you have to call this procedure. Which procedure? Let me show you. The check patient registration. Okay, so you need to call this procedure somewhere, and because you are verifying and you have to load the data on some controls, so you have to create a separate method for that. And because this is a specific method, this cannot be generalized. Okay, so I am using this method here directly. I am creating inside this window. So private void get patient record or check patient record, get underscore check patient record, and it should be boolean. Okay, and then come inside, try catch, let me zoom it and write here SQL command. Look, it is not coming. So SQL command cmd equals to new SQL command, and specify your procedure, that is this one, and paste it. And then one thing that you have to pass is the phone number. So string phone and control dot SQL data client, and then comma main class dot connection. So connection is there. Now cmd dot command type is equals to command type dot stored procedure, and then cmd dot parameters dot add with value, and then specify the parameter, that is the phone number. Okay, so @phone, and then pass your phone that you will give in the parameter, and then main class dot connection dot open. Okay, and main class dot connection dot close, and then copy this and paste it here, and then SQL data reader dr equals to cmd dot execute reader, and then if the data exists then check. If dr dot has rows then come inside, okay, and if dr dot doesn't have rows then run the else. Now what you can do, while dr dot read, so because you have to load the data also, while dr dot read, do this. One more thing that you can try here is the boolean variable boolean check equals to false by default, a boolean variable. So if the rows exists then what you can write, check equals to true, and else check equals to false. I hope it is clear to everyone. Okay, now if the data exists then store the data inside their respective controls. So where I wanted to display patient text, the guardian text, and then the patient history. Okay, so right here patient text dot text is equals to dr of columns dot toString, and specify the name of the column, that is the patient, copy and paste it here. Okay, so that's my patient, and then you need to display the guardian, so copy it and then right here guard and guardian, or father text, it would be dot text is equals to dr of dot toString, and then specify the column name here with the name guardian, that's my SQL column. Now after father, what you wanted to display, the age, but I don't have the age window here, so I have age text box, so I have to add the age. So let me specify age, copy and paste. So that's the thing, bring them down, now it's fine. So it should become the age of the patient, age, and it should be age text, and it should not be, the maximum length cannot be more than 3 digits. Okay, and then save. And then what you have to do, you have to utilize here, because you have you called the age? No, you haven't called the age, so you have to pick up the age also of the patient. So right here pr dot age as age, okay, comma, now it's fine. And because you have already created this procedure, so make it alter and then execute. Commands completed successfully. And now you can write here age text dot text equals to, and then copy it and then paste it, and then here you can specify the age. Okay, so age of the patient will be picked up. After that you have to specify the last appointment date here, okay, and then the doctor that you have picked up and the ID of that doctor, and then the status should display here, the last status. Okay, now so what you can do, one more change that you can specify here is select top 1. Okay, select top 1 appointment, last appointment, because there are many appointments. Okay, so select top 1 appointment, and then here you can specify order by what you can specify, PA dot ID descending. So this phone number, based on this phone number, the last ID of the appointment, it will be order by descending, and then the top first record, the last record will be picked up. I hope it is clear to everyone. So this should also be changed. So execute, commands completed successfully. Now where I wanted to display these things, after these 3 things, after age, that's my new appointment date. I will not do anything here. In fact, I can display my last appointment date here. So last appointment picker, so come there inside your patient registration and write last appointment picker dot value is equals to convert dot to date time and then dr of dot to string and then mention your date here. So what is the column name? Last appointment. So copy and paste. Okay, and you have to specify two things here because that's the date time also. So HH colon MMTT. Okay, so this also be executed once again. Commands completed successfully. Now last appointment is displayed. Now what else? Consulted to the doctor name. So the doctor name will be displayed in the text box. So appointed to, what is the name of that control? Consulted to text. Okay, so consulted to text dot text is equals to dr of dot to string and here the name of the doctor column should appear. So that is this and this also. Okay, and you don't need to display the ID here, so leave the ID, no problem, but if you wish to take, you can take later on, no problem. So consult, the name of the doctor is there and then the status, so status text. So status text dot text is equals to copy this one, select this, copy and paste, and in fact of this you can specify the status, that is this one, copy and paste. Okay, so when this function will run, when you put it inside the text box, leave focus, so return the check at the end, return check, that the variable that you have created. If the data exists, then it will return true. If the data will not exist, then it will return false. Okay, so save it and alright, so now we have to call this function. So get and check patient record. So right here, if get and check patient record, and what you are picking, phone text, so phone text dot text. So whatever will be the phone number, based on that the records will be checked. If they exist, they will be displayed on the controls, and if they do not exist, nothing will happen. I hope it is clear. Okay, so one thing that you can do, you can reset the last appointment controls if the data is there, then it will apply, the values will be displayed on the controls. But if the data is not there, then the existing control should become empty once again. Okay, these things. So what you can do, you can use the main class dot reset enable. Okay, you can use this control here and left panel. I hope it is clear to everyone. Okay, let's see what will happen. So if the data exists, the data will be displayed. If the data is not exists, then it will reset but here the reset will not work, because it will work but it will also blank the phone text also. So that's the wrong thing. So in fact of this, okay, let's first check this, is it working or not. So admin, patients, add, and now phone number. Do we have any patient? I don't have any patient right now, so we cannot check this. So what can I do? I can do the save code first, and then we'll go to the retrieval process. So the staff window, copy the save button code. Okay, first go to the sample window, sample 2, and then copy these 3 only. Add and edit is not mandatory. So here paste. So instead of virtual, you have to write the overwrite keyword. Okay, on save, what do you want it to do? Go to the sample and copy this code. Let me zoom it out. That's my save button, and That's my whole code of the save button. Copy it and paste here also. Okay, now what you can do, you have first check the controls on the left panel. Okay, and then fields with static are mandatory, and then hash table. So add this hash table. So control dot using system dot collection should be added, and then what do you have to pass for insert? For insert inside the patient registration, you have to pass 4 parameters: name, guard, phone, and age. So name is there, GUARD, guardian. Phone is also there, right? And age, so you have to mention age. So age, that's it, and remove this also. Now that's fine. So here you should write the patient text. Here should you write the father text, and then you should write the phone text, and then the age text. Okay, so all things you have passed, and then the procedure name. So the procedure name should be, so look guys, this is the beauty of modular application. You don't need to write insert, update, delete code again and again, insect. You are only giving the procedure name, that's it. And then what you can write here, patient text updated successfully or added successfully. And then load users, you don't have to use this. In fact, you go to the staff window and select your load users code, and then come here and paste it somewhere. Instead of load users, you can write load patients. Okay, but I don't have the grid view here for displaying the patients, so let me copy from the staff. Where is my staff window? Let me open it. Copy this one and go to the patient registration and paste here, and edit the columns. Remove this column, you don't need address. Phone number is required, patient name is required, patient ID. So here you can write patient ID GV, and here heading text is this. Here you can write the name of the patient, and then specify patient GV, and then the guardian GV, and the display name should be guardian, and then patient guardian, then age, appointment date, age GV, appoint date GV, appointment for, and then appointment for doctor GV, and then doctor. Okay, and you have to specify the ID, so doctor ID GV also, and doctor ID, and it should not be displayed. So doctor ID column will also there. Okay, now you don't need to display the last appointment details. Okay, now close everything and click OK. So now my grid view is there, and now what I wanted to do, I wanted to go inside here and add the things. So first thing that I wanted to add is the patient ID GV, and then the patient GV, and then the guardian GV, and then the age GV, and then you have to specify. Okay, one thing that you must do here is the flow of the things. So the ID, patient, then guardian, then age, then appointment for, then doctor ID. So age is the correct. Now what do you have to pass here after age? Appointment date, and then doctor. So appointment date GV, then doctor GV, and then last is doctor ID GV. So that's it. Okay, and remove this one, and here you can specify the where I have to where I have to display the details. I haven't created the procedure, isn't it? No, I can use this, but I can use this. So, but here other details are also there. Patient, guardian, the patient ID is not appearing here also. So I cannot use this, and there is the phone number. So I have to copy it, and I have to create another query. So create procedure and get patient appointment registrations, okay, and remove this parameter. And what you can do, remove this top one, and what you can write, pr dot id as id, okay. And now one thing that you can mention here, where pa dot date is equals to @date, okay. Or you can specify the pending what you can say, the pending appointments, okay. So based on pending appointments we should display. So pa dot status is equals to 0. I hope it is clear to everyone. So only the pending appointments will be displayed, okay, inside the registration. So the things that I need to pass here is the ID, and then the patient, then guardian, then last appointment. So I don't need the last appointment. Should I display the last appointment? Age, yes, one thing that you have to change, because here the appointment details that are coming are the last appointment details, okay. What if the appointment is not there? That's the problem. You have to load the new appointment also. So so here it should not be the last appointment, and it should be the appointment date, and then the age, and then the doctor, and then the status, and that's it. What do you need to display? You need to display the patient, then the guardian, then the age, then the appointment for, and then the doctor. So do we have the doctor details? Yes, I have the doctor details and the doctor ID. So that's it, and only these details will be displayed. So execute, commands completed successfully. Copy this procedure, and instead of this, paste it here. Now the first thing is the patient ID, then the patient, and then the guard, and then the appointment date. So it should not be there. Then the appointment date, and then what you have, age, and then the doctor, and then the doctor ID, okay. So the column sequence is matching on both sides. Now load users, and the data is there. Now what's next? Because that's the one thing. One more thing that you have to mention is the patient appointment insertion. So for that purpose, I'm going to create another hash table, ht equals to new hash table, and then ht dot add. And what do you need to add here? Let us go to the insert query of appointment. So date, doctor ID, patient ID, and status. So come here, give here HTA, so that it will become the difference hash table we are going to use. So the first parameter is @date. So date, then doctor ID, copy it, okay. First copy this, copy, paste, paste, and paste. Now copy it, and then paste it, and then you need to write the patient ID. So copy, and then you need to get the status, and then the status. But there is a problem. The problem is, how can you get the patient ID? Because you are saving the patient right now, so you have to select the last ID of the patient, okay. So for that purpose, it's how can you pick up the last ID? Yes, one thing that you can do is to use this data, and there are two methods. One thing that you can specify a new query for picking up the ID, simple, and one more thing that you can do, you can enter both the insert queries together, okay, at one point, or both the insert queries together, but that will become more complex for you people. I can do that, but it is not good right now. So let me create another query. There are many ways to create a particular task. So create procedure st_get last patient ID as select top one from patient registration pr.id as ID, okay, order by pr.id descending. So the last ID of the patient will be picked up. So execute. Commands completed successfully. And now let us go to the CRUD window, because that can be used as a global function, last ID. So go to your CRUD class and Control Z, yes, copy this code and paste it here. Get last ID. I am creating a global function. So procedure, and then you need to remove all things. And do we have the parameters? No, we do not have the parameters. So instead of this, you can return an object, no problem. So this should not be there, and all things are now set. Instead of this, remove this code and zoom it out. Now main class dot connection dot open, and copy and paste. Instead of this, you can use the close one, and then copy it and then paste it, and then come inside and create an object. An object can be any object. O equals to null by default, and you can write here O equals to cmd.execute scalar, so that only one single record will be fetched. And then what you can do, you can convert dot, okay, do not convert, we can convert it later with respect to our requirements. So what you can do, after fetching the details, you can write here return and return O, simple. So whatever will be the ID, it will be stored inside an object, and then object will be returned, simple. I hope it is clear to everyone. No parameters, no nothing else. Now what you can do, you can rebuild your CRUD class. So right click and rebuild. Okay, so build is succeeded. Now come here and get the patient ID after inserting of this. So cut it. When the data is updated, come inside. After the one record, after the patient table is updated, now what you can do, you can use CRUD dot get last ID, and then what, the procedure name. So the procedure name is this one, copy and paste, and then inside double quotes. So double quotes here, and then semicolon. And one thing that you can do here is because you know that your patient ID is in which data type, let us see. So the patient registration is in big integer. So what I can do here, I can create an integer 64 and patient ID is equals to this. And now because it is giving me an error, so what I can do, convert dot to integer 64, and then because that's an object, and an object will be converted to an integer 64, and it will stored inside an integer 64. And now paste. Oh, I have to copy and paste the things again. So copy and paste, and that's my new hash table. So htt, and right here htt. So for my second insert, so remove this, remove this, remove this, and remove this. Now what is the name of the methods that I have created? Where was that? Insert appointment, yes, @date copy, and @doctor ID, and @patient ID. So this is how, that's why I have created that effort for picking up the patient ID. So copy and then paste it. So here you can specify the date, so appointment date picker dot value, and then the doctor ID. So how can you pick up the doctor ID? Convert dot to integer 32 and appointment for drop down. So what is the name? Appointment for drop down dot selected value dot toString. The ID of the doctor will be picked up like this, and then the patient ID. That's very simple. You have to pass the patient ID here, patient ID, and then the status. So by default, when you are entering or registering a patient, the status will be 0 by default, right? I hope it is clear to everyone. And then this message will be, you have to call this code also. So right here, if this one is to be applied here, okay, after inserting this, if the appointment is now in the context, copy and paste. If the appointment is successful, then come inside and then do this. Okay, so if the second one is updated successfully, inserted successfully, then do this message and display this message. Now one more thing that you can specify here is the transaction, because you are dealing with multiple tables together, you are retrieving, you are doing something. So for that purpose you have to change it. Copy this whole, okay, copy this whole thing and paste it here. In fact, one thing that you need to change here is the ID. Simple. So hash table dot add, copy this one and paste this one, and here you need to add the ID of the registration. So where is that? Update registration, yes, this one, and here the column name is ID, and so pass the ID here. And then you don't have the patient ID, no, the patient registration ID. So what you can do, you can specify here integer 64 pat ID. When I create my grid, the patient ID will be picked up. That's why I have created this patient ID. So here I have to pass pat ID, okay, and then instead of updation patient register insert, I'll use this and I will pass this. I hope it is clear. Now when I am going to update, I am also picking up the last ID. No, here you don't have to specify the last ID, because the patient you are updating, the patient that you are updating is not the last patient. Okay, so you have to pick up the ID of the patient from the grid. Okay, so here the patient ID should not be this one, so comment it. The patient ID should not be this one. Instead the updating procedure here, so here the ID is this, copy, and what you are going to update, the date, the doctor ID, the patient ID, the status, and then one thing that you have is the ID. So sorry, copy this and paste it, and right here ID, and which ID you are going to pass. Okay, I think I have done the mistake. Yes, I have done the mistake, guys. You have to come here, date, because you are in update mode, right? So update patient registration, that's fine. I hope here I haven't changed anything. Yes, so here patient ID you write pat ID. I hope it is clear to everyone. Okay, so that pat ID will be picked up from the grid view. Now update appointment, so copy it and paste it, and right here another parameter, that is the ID, and then the appointment ID should also be there. So it should be created somewhere. integer 64, appointment ID, semicolon, and then at the end right here update with the help of appointment ID. So I have to display the appointment ID also inside my grid view, so that this data will also be updated. So instead of this added right here, updated successfully, and then unable to update the record, and then go to the delete. So when you are deleting the patient registration, its appointment will also be deleted. Okay, so go to the staff window, go to the code, and simply go to the delete button. Where is the delete code? Here we have the delete code. Copy it and come here and paste it. Are you sure you want to delete? सही है. और यहाँ पर जो है वो आप लोग user ID, you have to change the user ID here and go to the delete code, copy it. Yes, the ID is there already. No, now you have to delete the patient registration. So patient ID, patient ID. Why it is not coming? The name, I have mentioned the ID here. So what I wanted to do, I wanted to use that pat ID. Yes, so for delete I use the pat ID for my patient, and then here you can use this delete. You have to pick up the delete patient registration. Okay, copy it and paste it. And now if I show you patient appointment and patient registration, so when I delete the patient ID, when I delete the patient registration, the data should also be deleted from patient appointment. So I don't want to delete the patient appointment. It will be automatically deleted if I have used the cascade. So let me verify, do I have used the cascade option? So design, and then right click and go to the relationships. Right click, relationships. So look, the relationship is there. Yes, that is cascade, and this, in this relationship there is no action. So which relationship is this one? That's the relationship between the user and the patient. So when you delete the doctor, the data should not be deleted. Okay, but here when you delete the patient, let me show you the relationship. When you delete the patient, the appointment will also be deleted. Okay, so I don't want to add the delete operation for my patient appointment. Simple. So here you can write patient text dot text. Now one thing that you can do here is the grid click. So come here and then cell click, and then go to your sample staff and copy this code and paste it here. Okay, so go to your cell click and paste. So here you have to specify the pat ID. Pat ID is equals to, okay, right here pat ID. Okay, so patient ID should be picked up from the patient ID GV. So patient ID GV, and then you have to specify the appointment ID also. So appointment ID is equals to, it should be 64 because that was big integer. So now it's fine, and the appointment ID should also be picked up, but you have to verify that does your grid view has the appointment ID. Look, I don't have the appointment ID here, so you have to add a column app ID GV appointment ID. It should not be visible, it should be read only, and it should be added in the last. Okay, appointment ID. And at this point where I have added that query, get a patient details, here you have to pick up the appointment ID also. So at the end you are going to add the PA dot appointment ID as appointment ID, and then alter it, alter, and then now execute it. Okay, so appointment ID is at the last. So what you can do, you can come here and pick up the APP ID, appointment ID GV. So appointment ID GV, where is that? APP ID GV, here is that. Now it's fine, and then close the double quotes. And now after that, where we wanted to display the records, the phone number, and then the patient, all the things. So what you can write here, phone text, and then right here phone GV. I don't have the phone GV, that's the problem. So you have to mention all the columns here. So come here and come inside and then add a column, that is phone GV, and then phone, and then read only, add where it should be displayed after the age. Okay, it should be displayed. So you have to mention you have to reorder the things. So phone GV, and then close the double quotes, and it should be displayed. Now the patient, so patient text dot text, and here it should be patient GV, and then come and close. And then the guardian, GUARD, sorry, father text we have for this, father text, and then here you have to pass the guardian GV, and then that's it. And what else you need to pass is the appointment date and the appointment for. So you can write here appointment date GV, and you can specify the appointment date GV, and then close this, and then dot value appointment GV. Okay, it should be appointment date picker. So appointment, okay, let me verify what is the name of that. Appointment date picker, yes. So appointment date picker, where is that? Appointment date picker, it is not appearing here. Why? Its name is, okay, it's single P, that's the spelling mistake. So appointment date picker, yes, dot value is equals to whatever the value will be, but it should be converted to date time. So convert dot to date time, bracket open and close, and then save. And then after that you have to specify the appointment for, that means the doctor. So you can write here appointment for drop down dot selected value, and it should be the doctor ID. So row dot cells of doctor ID GV, and then dot value, simple. Okay, and then you have to specify, remove this. So all the things are picked up from the grid view and displayed here. I hope it is clear to everyone. Now what's next? We have to go and insert the record, and we have to load the records also. So on view button you have to call this load users, and you have to change this load users code, because on this load users I have added some other columns. So my first column here is the ID, then the patient, and then the guardian, and then the appointment date, and then the age, and then the doctor and the doctor ID, and then you have the status. So do I have the status here? No. So I have to mention the status, because my grid view holds the status. No, my grid view doesn't have the status. So after status you have to add the status GV also. So add here status GV and mention here status. Okay, and then this read only and close and bring it to the last. Okay, so status. Now you have to mention here status. After doctor ID you have the status GV, and then the next thing is copy and paste because you have further columns. After status you have appointment ID. So appointment ID GV, where is that? App ID GV, it should be app ID GV. Now all the columns are there. One more column that I have mentioned, I think I'm missing. So all the things I have now added, I hope. Now save it. One more thing that is skipped here is the phone. Do we have the phone here? We haven't picked up the phone also. So where is the phone column? I have to add it in the last. So pr.phone as phone, okay, and it should be execute completely. Now at the end you have to call the phone, so it should be the phone GV. Now it's fine, okay. So you have passed everything, but in the cell grid click there is no status, okay. So where you have to display the status? You have to display the status here, so I don't need to display here, no problem. Now let's start and check, is it working or not. One thing that is still missing is the transaction scope, because if some data is erroneous, then the other data should be rolled back automatically. So you have to add the transaction also. So before continuing it, we add the things here, that is transaction scope. So using transaction help me protect my data, transaction scope control dot, okay, it is not coming. So right click, okay, it's still not coming. That means I don't have the transaction details here. So references, right click, add reference, and then go to assemblies and write here transaction. So using system.transactions is there, so add it. Now it's fine. So control dot, look, using system.transactions is there, sc equal to new system.transaction, and then sc.complete, so that all the code should come in between this transaction. So from this if till this else, cut it, I don't need. I'll do this code here inside this transaction, okay. So if one table inserts successfully, another will not, the first table will be rolled back, it will not commit. So that's what the benefit of transaction is. Let us see. Login, patients, add the phone number 0345-123-1231. Patient name is, you have to maintain the tab index. Patient name is, let's say, Jamal, and the father name is Ahmed, and then the age is, let's say, 34, and the appointment date is for today, and then the Dr. Yasir is the appointment from he is taking, and then save. It is saying that the parameter date expects, okay, insert appointment needs a parameter at the date. Okay, let us check. Insert appointment, the date is there. Yes, the problem is there because I haven't changed the hash table, that is the HTT for insert. Now it's fine, but look, the error appears here. Let us see the data here is there or not in this table. So let us go to the registration and edit top 200 rows. Is the data is there or not? Let us verify. Look, that's the problem. It should not be there. The reason why transaction is not worked, because you have everything in functions. So if you write the complete code together, then this transaction will give you the benefits. So remove this code right now, because that's not the correct way. One table data is inserting, it's verified. Now let's see that next table data. Okay, because this is there, then this mistake should also be there. Yes, that's HTT and that's HT and HTT. Now it's fine. Now execute. So login, patient, add 123 is the phone number, patient name is Saad Khan, age is 20, today's date, appointment for this doctor, and then save. Look, Saad added successfully into the system, and now the data is also displayed accordingly. Okay, so that's what the whole effort's worthwhile. So let us execute it. Okay, so that's the appointment, and then see the appointment table also. Sorry, yes, the appointment table. Look, the current status is 0, and then the turn number is 1 automatically, because there is no turn number at that date. Okay, now let us add once again. The phone number of the Saad was 123. So if I write here 123 and press tab, automatically the details of Saad is there, and the last appointment details are also loaded automatically. So this is what I have done so much efforts for just simple this CRUD operations. So the CRUD operations are not only the one thing, you have to manage the data accordingly. Now look how quality assured this software will become when you enter just when somebody come in and you ask the phone number of that patient, and then you enter the phone number, and then all the details will automatically come, and instead the last details are also appearing of that patient. So I am stopping right now. In the next class we will see some more stuff regarding this patient registration, and that's all for today. But one thing, let us check, is the turn number is changing or not. Let me add another customer. So 321, and now the phone number is changed, Haris. Let us add Haris, and then the rest of the details remains the same. Let me change the appointment date to the 23rd, or no, 22nd is the correct. Okay, now leave it, and then the appointment is for Dr. Yasir. But look, when you enter, that's the problem. When you enter a new phone number and the data is not there, you have to clear these things. Okay, I was doing this thing, but I have applied the reset function, but then I have removed. So you have to clear these when you have entered the new phone number. I hope it is clear to everyone. So now after this, save. Haris added successfully into the system, and where is the turn number? The turn number should also be displayed here, but let us verify from the database. Right click, execute. Okay, the problem is, yes, the problem is with respect to the time, because I have added another patient but with on a separate time. So I have to remove the time clause. I have to only check the date, so that on that date the turn number should become added. So what you can do, you can go to your insert appointment procedure. Where is that? Let us go to the procedures and refresh it. Right, so get insert appointments, modify, and here you can do what? You can do this. You can specify format here, and then specify as dd-mmm-yyyy only. Okay, so the date is only picking up. Now execute. Commands completed successfully, and now let us add another user. Okay, 000 is the phone number, then the patient name is Razak, let's say, Harun, and then age is 34, appointment is for today, and then click save. Razak added successfully. Now let us verify the turn. Okay, sorry, right click, execute SQL. So the turn number is not going to update. We have to verify why it is not doing, but the time is over almost. So hopefully you have understood everything. We'll cover these problems in the later videos. Thank you so much. Take care. Allah Hafiz.